Hey, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Alex Esmoy here, aka Today Doctor. Today we're going to be going back into Tableau live builds. We're going to be doing a Workout Wednesday Bathymetry lines challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and share my full screen in just a moment. But if you guys haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Alex Esmoy. And that way you can get tips and updates on the latest data science, AI, data analytics, demos and tips and tricks like we're doing today. So today we're going to be going to Tableau. I'm going to go ahead and share my full screen so you can see exactly what we are doing here. And I know we've been a few weeks since we've done some Tableau build outs. We've been doing a little bit on the AI, machine learning, large language model, chat GPT stuff. I know you guys like that stuff. And if you want to see more of it, drop me a comment, let me know. Happy to go back into it. We are building out a couple of different knowledge store solutions for some of our clients. And if that's something that you're interested in exploring more, feel free to reach out and contact me about that. But enough about all of that. Make sure we're going to dive into this Workout Wednesday challenge. As I was going back through the site and looking for different Workout Wednesdays, this one caught my eye. I've never really seen a visualization quite like this, at least not in Tableau. It's using something called bathymetry lines, and it's like a contour line or topology line. You know, you're essentially taking these slopes and creating a two-dimensional representation based off the different heights, the elevations right there. And you're going to build that chart. So scrolling down over here, you can see this is essentially just a heat map, very similar to what we're built up there. And it's going to have these lines that are separating each of these different, let's call them elevations. So it's a very interesting chart. I've never seen anything quite like this before. I'm not even 100% sure how to build this in Tableau. I'm imagining you're building a heat map, use some squares, and that seems like that would work, except for the fact that you got these white borders, and potentially we could draw some lines. I'd have to think about how we would do that. This one's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But the calculation component seems fairly straightforward. This is a by month, by subcategory, so that's not really a big deal. One sheet, so not too much of an issue there. It's a cumulative percent of total sales for each subcategory. So that's going to be a table calc. That's straightforward. You're just going to add a running sum, cumulative, and that would be my dog going crazy right now. Sorry about that, guys. Excuse me, I'm going to have to go grab her really quickly. I'll be right back. All right, so interruption from the dog, as it is when you're working from home. But as I was saying before, this calculation is fairly straightforward. It's going to be a table calc, so running sum over here, that's not an issue, and then secondary calc percent of total table across. That's a very, very common table calculation, so no surprises there. Let's see. So we're going to use this calculation for the coloring. So it's percent of total, which is that calculation, times 50, and then rounded minus one decimal place. So that's going to be going to the tens. So let's see. If we multiplied everything by 100, one would become 1%. Essentially, by multiplying by 50 and everything is a percentage, you're going to have 0 through 50. And then when you round it to the 10 digit, you're going to get 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And so that'll give us 6 color groups. Okay, that's an interesting calculation. I think I'd like to probably do like int calculation, int division. That to me just seems a little bit easier to understand. I mean, this works, but it seems just a little bit hard to interpret, right? Like you'd have to do the mental math and then realize that you have to have a 0 and also the max. So you have, anyways, you've got 5 groups, and then you also have your 0, so you get 6 groups. This is the part that I'm not sure what we're going to do here. For every adjacent cell of this, if the colors are different. Okay, I think that is, okay, so for every adjacent cell, so we're looking at this cell versus that cell, if the colors are different, add a line that separates the colors. Okay, so these two are going to have different colors, and that calculation is for the color. So if they have different values, then we're going to draw a line in between. So let's just kind of dive in. Let's see if there's any other tips or hints or anything. I don't see anything over here. We've got interactive, no tool tips. So that's not really going to be much of a help. Right, so matching all the formatting, we'll go in and do all that color line stuff later. Let's go ahead and dive into Tableau and see what that looks like. So let's grab our Tableau workbook over here and move this to my secondary screen so that I can refer back to it as a guide and look at those tips. Okay, so let's just go ahead and connect our data. We're going to just use our sample Superstore data. Probably not the same version, but we're not going to worry about that too much. So months up top, let's just right-click, drag that, grab the month date part. That's fairly straightforward, easy peasy. Grab the subcategory over here. I'm going to go and right-click here, format this to abbreviations because I see that already. We can go ahead and drop the field labels, field row labels. All right, so now we've got a table. Missing value February, copiers. Okay, noted. So let's just drag this in here. Let's go ahead and create our table calculations. So let's do, this is going to be our running total. So we're going to do sum across, add secondary, percent of total. There we go. Now we've got our percentage going across running total. Let's see. So our copiers, you can see that was the null value, so 0, and so just carries over the same value. Let's go ahead and change this to 2 decimal places. All right, so that's easy peasy. We've got our table calc. I'm looking over at this rounded percent of total calculation. So let's just grab this, control drag it. If you've never done this before, this is really great for building out table calculations if you want to use them in other calculations. I'm going to name it exactly what he has it named in the formula over there. So if we right click, edit this, now we can see this is the table calc that we just used over there. I'm not expecting any crazy surprises with that calculation, hopefully. So let's just go ahead and create the next thing. I'm going to drop this over here. And we're just going to call this colors. Let's drop this to colors. Okay, so we changed it to square. Boom, we've got our heat map. To me, that's the easy part. We've got all this stuff in here. I'm not too terribly concerned about that. So now we need to be able to compare adjacent cells. So the comparison part, I think that seems fairly easy, right? Because you can compare this value with that value. We've got our colors calculation. So if you can see a 10, we can see 0 over here. So we can compare those values. And the way you compare them with a calculation is going to be a lookup. Okay, so let's think about that for a second. So we can look up and we can compare 2 values, but we can only compare really 2 values at a time. So we can compare this cell with the cell to the left. That'd be -1. And then we could offset this maybe so that we have a little bit of white space margin. So let's see what that looks like. Let's create a calculated field over here, and we'll call it column offsets. So if what's this colors is not equal, right? So that's kind of the logic that he was suggesting. If they're different, so they're not equal, and we'll just say look up colors -1. Then, okay, let's think about this. We'll say then 0.9 else 1 end. Let's take a look at what that does. So we put this on our column offset. Okay, so over here, this is offset because it's got a color value of 10, and this is a color value of 0. So that looks right. Okay. So I think the column offset works. We can, of course, fix our axis over here. So yeah, so square is not going to do the trick because it's just not big enough. I know we can make the size bigger, but then you're going to have these overflowing squares. Been there, done that. Let's figure out something else. So the other way to build heat maps, if you guys never done this, is use a bar chart, and I'll just fill it, and you just use a proxy value for this over here. So we're not really using a proxy value. We're actually comparing. We're using a 1, and then we're using a 0.9. So if it's filled up, and it will use a 0.1 versus a 9, so it'll give it like a 0.1 gap. So okay, we've got this value over here. We can go over here and move the size to full. And okay, so we've got the gap, but it's on the wrong side. We can fix that, right, by reversing our axis. Okay, so that's starting. I'm going to fix my labels because I don't like that. Let's align it. Let's do center. Oh, he has it on the left. Or okay, I don't know why it's doing that thing, but all right. Anyways, oh, it's because I've got my axis flipped. That's why. Okay, cool. So this looks like we've got that part figured out. So let's do something similar. I'm going to come over here and grab this same formula. It's essentially the same formula. We're just going to change our table calc so that we're going down, right? So let's create a row offset. We could have just duplicated the variable. Okay, this is crazy. Okay, let's make sure it's down. And edit axis over here, fix it to 1. All right, so something isn't quite right with what we did over there. Let's flip our axis back for a second. So now it's starting at point. I'm not sure what's going on over here because it should be from 0 to that value. But now it looks like it's starting from that value, and then we've got the height. Okay, so this is the row offsets. And we've got, let's see, this is the color of 20, and this is the color 10. So that looks correct right there. But something's happening with the bar that doesn't look quite right. Okay, so let's try something Okay, maybe it's our size. So we can fix this. What could this be? So, say center. Width in axis units. So let's say 2. So that fills the whole thing. But I don't think that's exactly what we wanted to do. So let's say 1. And okay, so we're getting there. So the row offset seems like it's fine. Let's take a look at this column offset and figure out what's going on here. So let's go ahead and edit this table calculation. That calculation looks right. So here you can see that the column offset is 0.9. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's adjust this axis over here. So what do we move this to 0.5 to 1.5? Okay, so we've got the offset on that side. Okay, so let's do it. We got to flip it to the other side, I think. So 0.4 and 1.4. 0.5. This is definitely a weird visualization challenge over here. I'm not exactly. We are figuring this out as we go. So let's fill up the entire screen with this. Okay, what am I looking at over here? So this offset is 0.9, and it's to the left a little bit, right? And okay, let me drop the rows off for a second and figure this out. So this goes up to 0.9 over here, and that's fine. But when we have it set with dual axis bar, which just boggles my mind a little bit, we have our size as 1 unit, and we have our alignment as center. So my guess is that we're centering the bar. So let's do something really quickly. Let's clear our axis range and see what happens. So, okay, this 0.9, I think, is offsetting over here. So this is 0.9. This is 0.9 as well, but it lines up. It doesn't have the same. This is 1. Okay. Why is this one? All right. I'm not 100% sure I know everything that's going on with this viz right now. So let's edit the axis again. Let's fix it, and we'll say 0 to 1 and reverse it. And let's go to 0.5. All right, 0.4. So, okay, let's do something different. Let's change it back down to 0 and 1. Just drop that over there. And instead, I think I want to modify the column offset. So let's come over here and change this to okay. So if the colors are different, then that's moving over. Let's say 1.1 then. So that should actually, okay, so I think if we do 0.6 over here and 0.5, that should give us what we're looking for. Okay. All right, there we go. I think that, wow, that was really, really tough to figure out. But I think that offset does work. Let's move our label back over to the right-hand side. So we've got our columns, we've got our rows. That is a very, very interesting calculation to try to place the values. We can see that value carried over just fine. We don't have to worry about that, that null value that they were mentioning before. So let's go ahead and format everything over here. I'm going to remove all of our lines, dividers, panes, rows, grid lines, zero lines, trend lines, reference lines. And Tableau, if you're listening, you know, it'd be fantastic if there was an easier way to remove all of the formatting settings. Okay, so I think that is what we needed over there to clear out that stuff. Let's go ahead and remove our headers, All right, this was very, very, very tough, challenging. The sizing we'll fix in just a second when we drop into our dashboard. So let's go ahead and build a dashboard component over here. We got 700 by 700. Drop our dash over here, remove that. Now we've got more of that square grid. It looks a little bit better now. Let's take a look at the formatting. He's got a title up here. Can you build a heat map with that title is going to kill me. Try to pronounce it, but it's bathymetry lines, I think. Let's see. Let's just call this. Can you build a heat map with bathymetry lines? I think we just did. I don't know if that's the same approach he used, but good enough. This was definitely very, very challenging. So thank you, Luke, for that. Really, really tough challenge. Let's go ahead and center this also. And of course, we need to add our little footer at the bottom. So we'll just drop a little text down here. We'll just say workout Wednesday 2023, week 20. Give credit to Luke over here, Stanke, and recreated by. All right, so there we go. Let's go and drop that in there. Let's center it. Make it a whole lot smaller and put it down there as a footer, and there you go. I think we've done it, guys. So there you go. We've been able to build a heat map with bathymetry lines. This was a very, very interesting challenge, very tough one. I enjoyed it. It definitely was something I've never seen before, and I appreciate learning something new each time I use Tableau and finding out what you guys are able to do in the community. So Thank you, Luke, for this challenge. This was very, very interesting. Very, very, again, very tough challenge. Got to remove all those tooltips. So let's uncheck that over there. No tooltips. One click, easy peasy. All right, I'm going to save this. I'm going to push it up to Tableau Public for you guys to check out yourselves. Feel free to look at it and use it for your own build outs. But if you guys enjoy this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Drop me a comment down below. It just helps me to reach other people that might enjoy this content as well. And if this is something that helps you, be sure to let me know with a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see more of. Until next time, take care. God bless.